Namaste and welcome to Daily News Simplified, the what, why and how of newspaper reading. Today, we would be analyzing the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper of 7th February 2018. Now let us begin. Now we have taken this article from page 1. Now the Supreme Court of India is hearing a PIL on the implementation of the Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016, and regards to which it had asked the central government to file an affidavit. Now what is important from your examination point of view is to understand the Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016. Now the Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016 had replaced the earlier Municipal Solid Waste Management Handling Rules of 2000. Now let us understand on how the Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016 replaced the earlier rules. Now the 2016 rules have increased the jurisdiction of the rules. Now the earlier rules were specified to the area of municipality, but the new rules have increased the scope of this area beyond the municipal area. And under the new rules, it has included urban areas, notified industrial towns, areas under the control of railways, airport, etc. Now these rules are applicable to every municipal authority. Now the question is, why has the jurisdiction been increased? Now the first reason is that solid waste management practices in India is then effectively implemented. And the second reason is to achieve the objectives of the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Now hopefully up till here you've understood the first point on how the new rules have changed the earlier rules and why was it needed to increase the scope of the jurisdiction. Now the second point is source segregation. Now according to the new rules, waste has to be separated at the source itself, meaning from where the waste has been generated. Now this source can be hotels, resident welfare associations, industrial areas, among others. Now the source would be divided into three categories. The first one is biodegradable waste, the second is non-biodegradable waste, and the third is domestic waste. Now let us understand as to why it has been done. Now the main reason it has been done is to improve waste to wealth resources, and this is to be done through three means. The first is recovery, reuse and recycle. Now there is one more aspect to this on how waste would be converted to wealth. Now this conversion would be in form of resources. So the wealth would be of resource. Now the first would be of compost and the second would be of energy. So it means that waste would be converted into compost that would then be used as fertilizers and thereby increasing the wealth resource in terms of fertilizer. And similarly, waste would then be converted into energy in form of electricity and create another wealth resource. Now the third point is the dispose of sanitary napkins and diapers. Now under the new rules, the manufacturers of sanitary napkins and diapers are required to provide a disposable packet in which the sanitary napkins and diapers can be thrown away in. Now the reason it has been done is to use organic waste for composting. Now hopefully up till here you have understood the three major points of the Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016 and how it replaces the earlier rules. You also understand as to what is meant by source segregation and the three divisions of bio-waste, non-biological waste and domestic waste. You also understand the rules with regards to the disposal of sanitary napkins and diapers. And moreover, you also understand the concept of waste to wealth resources. Now if I were to ask you a question, that which is the nodal ministry on subject of solid waste management, you should know that it is the Ministry of Urban Development. And if I were to ask you another question, which ministry has actually revised the Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016? You should know that it is the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Now under this rule, a central monitoring committee would also be formed. And the chairman of this committee would be the Secretary of Ministry of Environment and Forest. Hopefully up till here you also understood that the Ministry of Urban Development is the nodal ministry on the subject of solid waste management, and the Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016 has been revised by the Ministry of Environment and Forest. Now as such, in previous videos I have been asking you to place every topic that you read in the newspaper in multiple themes of the UPSC syllabus. And the Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016 would fall under two purviews. First is urban governance and the second is environment. While the concept of waste to wealth would also fall under your economic development section in infrastructure because it deals with two aspects of fertilizers and of energy. And with this, we move on to our next article. Now we have taken this article from page 7. Now let us first understand as to why is it in the news. Now it is for the first time that 4 countries, India, Nepal, Bhutan and Bangladesh, are cooperating with each other for India's 4th tiger census. Now the question is, why? Now the first reason that these 4 countries are cooperating is to map the territorial spread of tigers in the subcontinent. The second reason as to why it is being done together is to avoid double counting. Now hopefully up till here you have understood as to why is it in the news, and you also further understand as to why the 4 countries are cooperating for the 4th All India Tiger Census. Now the 4th All India Tiger Census had been done in a much earlier video, but let us again revise it. So we would be first focusing upon on the 4th All India Tiger Census. Moreover, we would focus upon National Tiger Conservation Authority and further upon M-Stripes, so as we can understand about Project Tiger. Now apart from this, a question was asked in your UPSC mains paper in the year 2011, which has asked for the phase 4 of the tiger monitoring program in India. Now we would begin by first understanding the location of the 4th All India Tiger Census, which is the Nagarjuna Tiger Reserve. Now let us first understand its location. Now the Nagarjuna Sagar Tiger Reserve is located in the state of Andhra Pradesh, and this reserve mainly consists of the Nanamala forest. Now in terms of geographical location, this is all you need to know with regards to your prelims examination. Now let us understand about the All India Tiger Estimation of 2018. Now this is also called the 4th All India Tiger Estimation and has begun from the Nagarjuna Sagar Tiger Reserve. Now the 4th All India Tiger Estimation Program is being developed and implemented by the Wildlife Institute of India. Now the All India Tiger Estimation is implemented every 4 years. And this is being done under the direction of the National Tiger Conservation Authority. Now we would understand more about the NTCA later in this section. Now the All India Tiger Estimation Program has 3 main aims. The first is to measure the extent and population of the tigers. The second is to measure the habitat status. Now this habitat status includes the prey availability, the pressure of human, among other factors. And the third aim is to measure the future trends. Now these future trends would be in the population of the tigers, the increase or decrease of its area and other factors. Now the last All India Tiger Estimation was done in 2014 and with the first one in 2006. Now hopefully up till here you have understood about the All India Tiger Estimation of 2018. You also understand that it is beginning from the Nagarjuna Sagar Tiger Reserve. Who is it developed and implemented by? You also understand as to under whose direction it is implemented. What are the 3 aims of the All India Tiger Estimation Program? And when was it last done? Now let us understand about NTCA or the National Tiger Conservation Authority. Now the NTCA is a statutory body and implements Project Tiger. Now this Project Tiger is a central scheme and began in 1973. Now the purpose of this scheme is for in-site conservation of tigers in designated tiger reserves. Now hopefully up till here you have understood as to what is NTCA and what is its main purpose. Now let us understand about the M-Stripes. Now as some of you may know, there was a question asked in the 2017 UPSC prelims examination about M-Stripes itself. Now this question was asked in the UPSC 2017 prelims. So let us understand about M-Stripes. Now initially what you had were field-based practices that formed a protocol. Now these field-based exercises were such as patrolling, ecological monitoring, etc. Now the information collected from this field-based protocol was not available in an easy format and therefore could not be used for data analysis. So therefore a new system called M-Stripes was developed. Now this customized software can have the field-based data in form of storage, analysis, etc. Now this data would be of ecological data of tigers, prey, habitat, etc. Now this M-Stripes is a GIS-based tool, wherein GIS means it is a geographical information system, and this customized software also provides easy reports, which means it could be used for big data analysis and can be easily read by scholars, practitioners and others. So hopefully up till here you have understood as to what is M-Stripes, what was the earlier problem and how does M-Stripes solve it. Now hopefully with this segment you would have a basic understanding of the All India Tiger Estimation, National Tiger Conservation Authority, M-Stripes and of Project Tiger. Now with this, we move on to our next article. Now we have taken this news from page 7. Now, India has successfully test-fired its short-range nuclear-capable ballistic missile known as Agni-I. Now, let us further understand about this from your UPSC perspective. Now, a question was asked in the UPSC 2014 prelims with regards to the Agni-IV missile. Now, what it had asked is its type, fuel, load capacity, and range. Now, let us understand the features of the Agni-I missile. Now, the Agni-I missile is a surface-to-surface missile. Now, the carrying capacity of this missile is of 1000 kg, while its range is of around 700 kilometers, thereby making it a short-range missile. Now, the Agni-I missile is also capable of carrying nuclear warheads. And lastly, the Agni-I missile uses a solid fuel system. Now, hopefully up till here, you have understood the type of the Agni-I missile. You also know its carrying capacity. You also know that it is a short-range missile of a range of roughly around 700 kilometers. Moreover, you also know that it is a nuclear-capable missile and has a solid fuel system. So if a question is asked in your UPSC prelims examination, such as, with reference to Agni-I missile, which of the following statements are correct? You will be able to answer with the information given in this section. Now, apart from this, we had already covered the Agni-V missile in the DNS of 19th January. And you can refer to this video to further understand about the Agni-V missile. Now with this, we move on to our next article. Now we have taken the lead editorial from page 8. Now this article talks about the limited growth of manufacturing sector in India and its resultant impact on employment and on GDP growth. Now let us understand this further. Now the author has given the state of manufacturing sector in India, and according to him, the growth in India's manufacturing sector has not been very high. And for this, he has given two major reasons. Now the first reason, according to the author, is that India has not taken advantage of its labor force and has not absorbed them in the manufacturing employment, and therefore there is low labor employment. And the second reason given by the author is that India has an inverted duty structure which has limited the growth of the Indian manufacturing sector. Now the question is as to what is inverted duty structure. Now IDS is a situation where the import duty on finished goods is low compared to the import duty on raw materials. Now it means that, let's say if you're a mobile company and you intend to manufacture mobiles in India, then the import duties on the raw materials that you require for manufacturing mobiles in India is actually higher than import duty which is there in importing a mobile from outside India, and therefore it is more profitable to become a mobile trader in India and imports mobile from outside than to manufacture mobiles in India. And because of this inverted duty structure, producers import items from outside rather than producing finished goods domestically. And this is one of the biggest problems of the inverted duty structure. And because of this structure, Chinese imports have swamped the Indian markets. And because of this structure and this emphasis on imports, what is formed is a high import intensive manufacturing and also high capital intensive manufacturing. Now let's say that if you're a car company, what you would do is import automated machines such as for welding and for other purposes rather than hiring local labor. And because of this, since these companies are importing automated machines, it leads to a high capital intensive manufacturing. And because of this, labor is not being hired in the manufacturing sector. Now hopefully up till here, you have understood the two reasons that has been given by the author for low growth in the manufacturing sector. The first one being low labor employment, and the main reason which has been given by the author is the inverted duty structure. Further, you also know as to what is inverted duty structure, wherein the import duty on finished goods is lower than import duty on raw material, thereby incentivizing imports to India and not manufacturing in India. And because of the emphasis on importing to India, it has led to the formation of capital-intensive manufacturing, where imported automated machines are being used to manufacture goods rather than the local labor. Now, one of the effects of this low growth is that the number of people who are entering into the labor market for the manufacturing sector has exponentially increased in India, while the jobs in the labor sector proportionally decreased. Now, to solve the problem of the inverted duty structure, the Union Budget of 2018-19 has announced an increase in the custom duty on various goods. Now, it is hoped that this would lead to a reduction in imports and increase the domestic manufacturing in the country. Now, the custom duties have been increased on capital goods, electronic goods, labor intensive industries such as clothing, footwear, food processing, among others. And these sectors are those which have been adversely impacted by inverted duty structure. Now, hopefully, up till here, you have also understood. On how the union budget intends to combat inverted duty structure. Now, a question was asked in your UPSC mains examination. In the 2017 mains examination, now by understanding inverted duty structures, you would be able to answer with regards to the failure of the manufacturing sector. Now, with this, we move on to our next article. Now, we have taken this article from the editorial page on page 8. Now, as you might be aware of the recent judges' controversy, in which the four senior most judges of the Collegium had raised anguish with regards to the allocation of cases by the Chief Justice of India. Now, the Chief Justice of India has made the entire process of allocating cases to the various benches transparent. Now, which case is allocated to which judge shall be known publicly. And this is a positive step towards transparency and accountability on part of the Chief Justice of India, as Chief Justice of India is the master of the roster. However, the author in this article argues that despite the process of allocation of cases being made transparent, it is still the prerogative of the Chief Justice of India whom he will allocate different cases. And according to the author, the still serious cases can be allocated to certain judges as per the discretion of the Chief Justice of India. Now, according to the author, there is a need to lay down strict guidelines with respect to allocation of cases. Now, we won't go into the political part of this article, but what we would do is revise on how the allocation of benches is done in the Supreme Court and with regards to the CJI being the master of the roster. Now, Article 145 of the Constitution of India mentions about the rules of court, and it says that the Supreme Court, with the approval of the President, may make rules for regulating the practice and procedure of the court. Now, on this basis, let us understand the allocation of bench. Now, in case of a division bench, so in a division bench, any matter heard by a division bench of not less than 2 judges shall be nominated by the Chief Justice of India. Now, with regards to the Constitution bench, now in a Constitution bench, a CJI may constitute a Constitution bench consisting of 5 or more judges under the following conditions. If it involves a question of law under Article 145 Part 3 or any reference made under Article 143, which is the power of the President to consult the Supreme Court. Now, hopefully up till here, you've understood why is it in the news. How is Article 145 important with reference to this news? How the benches are allocated in the Supreme Court, and how the allocation of the division bench is different from the allocation of a Constitution bench. Now, in the final part, let us understand the recent judgment on the roster case. Recently, in a 5-judge Constitution bench, which was headed by the Chief Justice of India, Deepak Mishra, held that the CJI is the master of the roster. And further, the Chief Justice of India said that it was the exclusive domain of the Chief Justice of India and no other can allocate cases in the Supreme Court. Now we move on to our next article. Now we have taken this news from page 7. Now let us first understand as to why is it in the news. Now Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Palestine this week. And with regards to this, there have been talks from Palestine which wants multipolar mediation in the Israel-Palestine peace process. And it is in this multipolar mediation that Palestine intends for India to become part with others such as the European Union in facilitating mediation between Israel and Palestine. So hopefully up till here you have understood that Palestine wants a multipolar mediation which would have multiple powers such as India, European Union and other European countries facilitating a mediation in the West Asian peace process. Now the question is, why does Palestine want such a process? Now initially, the United States was a chief mediator in the Israel-Palestine conflict such as during the Oslo Accord. But because of the recent decision of Donald Trump to shift his embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, has damaged and declined the role of the United States in Palestine, and therefore the United States does not have the trustworthiness in Palestine that it can act as an impartial mediator in the Israel-Palestine conflict. And because of this, Palestine wants a multipolar mediation in the peace process. Now the request or the hope of Palestine moves in opposition to the current government's policy of dehyphenation. Now India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi has embarked on a plan to dehyphenate relations that India has with Israel and Palestine. Now this policy in simple terms means that India will maintain separate relations with Israel and Palestine and not let their conflict or their interest to affect India's relation with the other. So it basically means that we will not allow the Israel Palestine conflict to affect our relations with either Israel or with Palestine, and we would continue to maintain separate bilateral relations with each of them and not let Israeli interest hamper our relations with Palestine or allow the Palestinian interest to hamper our relations with Israel. But this policy has some problems, wherein recently India had to choose between Israel and Palestinian position on the recent vote in the United Nations with regard to Jerusalem, wherein India had opposed the Israeli position. And similarly, India continues to maintain a position on the Israel Palestine conflict and was also seen in the recent Non Aligned Movement Summit or the joint statement signed at the Russia India China trilateral. And because of this, India has become obliged to continuously take position on the Israel Palestinian conflict. So, hopefully, up till here, you have understood the policy of dehyphenation on how India intends to maintain separate relations. Moreover, you also understand the hurdles that this current policy has. Now, this news is in transition, so let us wait for the visit to get over. Now, with this, we come to an end in the analysis of today's paper. Now, we move on to the question for today.